made a deal with God. Whatever I didn't get because of my hard-headedness, when I'm going on back to you make sure my family get it. It's that simple. Because of our hard-headedness, a lot of things we don't get because we won't obey him. Everyone, listen now, everyone his day. Listen at that now. Everyone his day. Y'all didn't hear that, did you? Every one of them. God said, because you knew me, I'm going to give them a thing. That I'm going to prosper them. Now, the bottom line is we have put enough fuel in the tank that when God come back for that day, would they realize? Oh, they got quiet on me on that. Yeah. Everyone his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters. Didn't want to leave the sisters out. Isn't that all right? What to do? To eat and to drink with them. Like some of these old preachers talking about can't no woman preach. Hey, that ain't how God set it up. This boy's called a sister on in there. Help me somebody. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone, about that Job sent, listen now, a sacrifice. And Job sent and sacrificed them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. Now, what does that really mean? Sacrifice them, what do you mean? That don't understand. He gave them back to God. And not only that, you can see the conjunction. Not only that, God to show you that I'm serious. I'm going to make a sacrifice so you'll know. Because I know in my heart, may not be written yet, you say, don't vow if you don't mean it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? For the number of all of them, for Job said, it may be that my son have sinned. At that time, you can kind of stand in the gap, and somewhat you can now for your children. And curse God. Now, he ain't worried about saying them bad words. It ain't the best thing to do, but he cursed God. So you know the difference, young people. I prefer you not using profane language, but don't let no holier than thou send you on the gift trip. Because if you let one slip, just simply say, Lord, forgive me. But now don't curse God in your heart. That they may have cursed God in their heart. Now, you ain't see, like you said, our children don't want to hear that now. But that's okay. Just hold them up before the Lord. And I guarantee you, his word got to come into play. Thus did Job. How did he do it? Now, continually, the etymology of that. Now, he didn't walk around saying that every day. He couldn't get nothing else done. In other words, in his private time, when he talked to God, do you do that? Do you have a time where it doesn't matter who's in the house, what's going on? Spend that time with God. I know sometimes my wife get on my case because I get up so late at night. But that's my time. I may seem like I'm whatever, but I had that unction to get up. Then I start praying for my daughter, my church, and all that they would have all that God has designed for them. I read, give them all that you had for that day. That day. See, you don't understand. A day in the Lord is what? 1,000 years. And 1,000 years is what a day in the Lord. When he said he's going to give you a day, he could give you 1,000 years of prosperity. Why are we weeping around here acting like we don't know what God... Hey, you don't have to let nobody see you sweat. Lord have mercy. I hope y'all been reading Bible, you know what I'm talking about. Have mercy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7, and then we'll start going over to Ephesians, the 2nd chapter, because once I understand that it took faith for me to walk in the door of a church. As a matter of fact, the only time I ever raised my voice in absolute anger to my wife was when she was trying to get me to go to church. And I told you, and I went down and jumped up right at the end of the service. Anybody got something? Said, yeah, I want to just preach one sermon. That was about 17 years ago. Well, see, it has nothing. It's all about Then it brought back to me, my mother, before she died, I didn't understand. I mean, I told you about that. She said, I wish I had a preacher in the family. She said that to me. Now a lot of that stuff started flooding back in on me because the groundwork was laid. And I know it had to be God that quiet my temper, my ability to, whatever. He did it, not me. So let's go to Deuteronomy 7. Isn't that amazing? Verse 1. Now understand what's going on here. When the Lord thy God, means Elohim, that's God, Yahweh Father, shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it. Now understand, you walk in faith. But now we're going to read you something when we get over there to Ephesians 2. You're going to see you left a certain spot and you moved in another household. But I got to let God tell you. See, and God wants you to possess it and have cast out many ethnos, nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgasites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hittites, the Jebusites. See, that's the one that David conquered, and it had an unclean birth, and it became Jerusalem. 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. In other words, notice what it says, who always try to mimic the same thing that God has. Satan. And when the Lord, thy God, shall deliver them before thee. In other words, God, wait a minute, you don't have nothing to do with it. He didn't told you, lead them wheat and the tares, let them grow together. Leave them tares alone. Thou shalt smite them. You're a winner. And utterly what? Destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. No, God don't want you playing around with the devil's workshop. Y'all remember all this praise? I said, man, what you talking about? An idle mind is the devil's workshop. I said, man, what you talking about? I don't understand that. I see you later, Mom. Walking out the door and I'm sitting around. What is the greatest word that young people say? I'm bored. I'm bored. That means you park your brain in idle. That's like sitting into a jet pod car and you got it stuck in neutral, all the gas